Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, konnichiwa, ciao, namaste, bonjour, hola, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? I hope you're well. It's Friday. Yes, love a Friday, don't you? My favorite day of the week, as many of you regular viewers will know. If you're coming back, thank you so much for joining me again. Always grateful to have you along. This is Ken at 10. If you're joining us for the first time, then thank you so much for coming. Nice to virtually meet you. We broadcast daily about all things property. We're an estate agent, James Alexander Estate Agents, based in Southwest London, Southwest 16 Norbury, to be precise, which is situated between Streatham and Croydon, because most people don't know where we are, because we're quite a small area, and we're sandwiched between the two. We're a zone 3 commuter area, so probably typical of a lot of London commuter belt areas where people come to for first-time buyers. We have families, have a good mix, really. 3-bedroom family homes are the most popular thing in our area. So how are you today? I hope you're well. Friday is my favorite day of the week. Why do I like it so much? Well, two things. The promise of the weekend ahead is always great. And secondly, it's the most important day for us in getting people out to view properties. Why? Because people generally view more than at any other time on a Saturday. And the peak time for that is between about 11 in the morning and about 3 in the afternoon. And so for us, the week is a big build up to getting to that point when we can show people around houses often at the weekend. And it's lovely for us as well, because it's the time when we get to meet our clients quite often for the first time. And certainly with applicants, you know, we always give them 15 minutes to look around on their own. We're not one of these agents that just says, yeah, bang them all in and out they come. We like people to, you know, they're spending a lot of money. People deserve their time in a property. So in terms of the market and what's going on here locally, well, the sun is out just about, but it's a bit overcast. It does feel like autumn is coming now, sadly. You know, the talk of this Indian summer, I hope it's coming, but it doesn't look likely to me. What do you think? In terms of the property headlines, big one this week from the Independent. Lenders are launching new sub 0.9% mortgage deals. This is not mortgage advice. You should seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you require it. But it is educational and it is in the news. This one from the Independent. Mortgage lenders are now offering deals at rates below 0.9%. Can you believe that? 0.9%. It wasn't long ago that between 4 and 6 was typical. And now here we are below 1%. Absolutely incredible. Nationwide Building Society is offering its lowest ever mortgage rate for new lending as the battle to attract borrowers continues. Britain's biggest building society is offering a deal at 0.87% from today. It's a 2-year fixed rate product with a 1499 fee, £1,499 fee, and borrowers will need a 40% deposit. That's the rub. It's only a very large deposit, sadly. So for you first-time buyers out there, sadly, it's not available, and that's a frustration, I know. Henry Jordan, Nationwide's Director of Mortgages, said, as one of the largest lenders in the UK, we're always keen to keep our rates under review to ensure we can maintain our competitive position in the market. Barclays jumping on the bandwagon as well. They also announced changes from today, including a 2-year tracker mortgage at 0.85% with a £999 fee. As with a Nationwide, you'll need a 40% deposit. That's the frustration for me. I want more first-time buyer deals to be more reasonable and nearer to those sort of marks, because if they can afford to do it for second-timers, they can afford to do it for first-timers. The only thing is they think that risk profile is too high. And I think they should relook at that, because that would really help first-time buyers to get onto the ladder. And, you know, there are lots of people out there that would love to get onto the housing ladder and just can't quite make it. And they need a leg up. They need a leg up for the government, both in terms of deposit and secondly, in terms of affordability. And the lower we can fix those rates for first-time buyers, the more likely they are to be able to afford to buy. Quite often we find ourselves in a position where tenants are affording rents of, you know, £1,500 per calendar month, and the equivalent mortgage would be the same or less, but the lenders won't lend them the money based on the risk profile. And yet we know they've been renting for years and years at that level with the current salary. So frustrating for first-time buyers. Khan's in the news again. Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London. He's criticised over his lack of ambition when it comes to affordable housing targets. This is in the Standard. And he said that he's announced over 30,000 new homes. Sounds impressive, doesn't it? 30,000 new homes. Until you read the rest of it, will be started in the next 5 years. So it's not 30,000 homes, is it? You know, they've unveiled a government grant which will be allocated to London councils and housing associations to build 29,456 new homes by 2026. And the opposition Conservative spokesman said, Andrew Boff said, that Londoners need more homes, and they've called for more stringent annual targets on housing delivery in the capital. Currently, the Mayor is judged on the number of homes started in a 5-year period, hence the big soundbite, rather than the annual targets on homes. Hardest places to buy a house. Where do you think it's hardest to buy a house right now? Always interesting to read these reports. There's a Rightmove report that's in the Express today. Research by Rightmove has revealed the areas of the country where it's hardest to buy and people are having the most difficulty in finding property. I mean, we're certainly finding there's a massive shortfall. We'll come on to that in a moment. But the areas considered the hardest to buy in are Newmarket in Suffolk. That's the most difficult. It's got the most acute supply shortage, whilst Berkhamsted is it Berkhamsted or Berkhamsted? I think it's Berkhamsted in Hertfordshire is the second most difficult place to buy it currently, according to the research. Meanwhile, in Witney, Oxfordshire, sales are up 51%, while the level of vendors decreased by 59%. And certainly that's a story of our area as well. You know, we've said before that a lot of the transactions this year were front-end loaded. What I mean by that is if you were considering moving this year, it's quite likely that you considered doing it in the first half of this year, brought about by the fact that you could save yourself up to £15,000 in the course of that move. So many of those front-loaded transactions mean that the second half of this year, there's been a shortage of supply so far. We expect that to continue. It always gets a bit better in September, what I call the mum's market. Children are back at school, as you can see from behind me, and that means a bit of quiet time for mum, and quite often that time is utilised to find a new home, because when a new school term starts, it's quite a life-changing situation for many. Children finishing school, children starting high school, going to university, perhaps going to work for the first time, all life-changing points for many parents, as well as the pandemic and many bereavements and everything else, making life-changing decisions for people. So it's definitely a time when lots of things are changing, and it's those times when people consider the move. And at the moment, what we're finding is there's lots of people out there looking, but there's not so much supply. So it's in your favor if you're selling, but if you're buying, it's tough out there. If you want to know more about how to find, by the way, our podcast is out again this week. I'm just about to release it later on today, and I'll put the notes on that at the bottom of the screen. If you want to look that up, always happy to have you along to listen to that. Take us with you in the car. Why not? Apart from that, yeah, there's an article in the Express about how to find homes, but listen to our podcast. It's far more helpful, to be honest. This is Sophie Cope from Mojo Mortgages. She advises on the best ways to find homes before they officially go on sale. And then it goes on to give no advice from what I can see. She says buyers should do their research. Yes, and not be swayed by pressure from estate agents, emotional market conditions. Well, you should be swayed by market conditions because it's on that basis that people will buy. And if there's strong demand, then you want to buy, you're going to have to secure it by offering over. What she says, that offering 10% plus over the asking price is likely to result in a successful purchase, but it can end up coming to bite you back in the future. Well, not if you still paid the right money for it, and not if you're confident that it's the best you can get for your money right now. More advice in the podcast, but certainly for me, that's a big clip. Don't know about you, but that's what I think. Story in the Eye today as well, which caught my eye. Pardon the obvious pun. And this is about unaffordable cladding repair bills. You know, so many people still stuck in these horrible situations where they've got caught up for no fault of their own in these massive cladding scandals. And the Eye reports on the ongoing cladding crisis, profiling one first-time buyer in Stevenage. They received a bill for over £200,000 for fire safety defects. My guess would be that their flat's probably worth not much more than that. And there they are getting a £200,000 bill. It's awful. She noted the freeholder who owns the building and the external walls, yet leaseholders are expected to pay to fix them if anything goes wrong. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Governments quoted as saying that the government believes in building owners should make structures safe without passing the cost on to leaseholders. Well, it believes in it, but it doesn't seem to have legislated anything against it, does it? Many people caught in those positions. I do really feel for you if you're caught in that position. Lastly, the Gym Group. The Gym Group is massively expanding, and it's interesting to see that. It claims the property market is at its most favourable, and it's got a lot of confidence. It wants to open another 40 branches. And I suspect a lot of these gyms are going to appear in place of our high streets. By the way, high street shops, the big chain stores, department stores, are down by 83% since the pandemic. Can you imagine? 83% down. That is absolutely colossal. And we're looking at the biggest redesigning of our high streets, certainly in our lifetime, if not ever. And I do think this is going to result in massive changes over time. It'll be really interesting to see how this develops. But I suspect what will happen is many of these large department stores will be carved up, partly into offices, partly into gyms, partly into leisure facilities. You know, there's much more talk now about living greener and cleaner, And I think a lot of people will be looking at the fitness side of things. Also, leisure, coffee shops and the likes will continue to expand. And the retail side will reduce. And those spaces hopefully will be rejuvenated if the government legislates for it. What we need is more independent retailers, more eclectic little businesses, quirky little businesses. We love those, don't we? And what the government needs to do to encourage those is drop business rates, really. Council tax for businesses is just so high, and it is really prohibitive for new businesses getting involved. Want new businesses in? Then give them the incentive to get into the high street, and you've got some sort of chance of getting them back. That's it for this week. Hope you have a fantastic weekend and a great Friday. We'll be back next week, same time. If you'd like more in the meantime, don't forget to check out that podcast and also our blog, of course, which I'll pop up there now. So have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe. Look after your family and friends. And we'll see you again on Monday. Until then, ciao.
All right, Susan.